Okay, kiddos, I want to give you a little bit of PSAT insight and show you some things that you might want to use as you're practicing for this really important test. So I'm at the sat.collegeboard.com homepage, and let me show you a couple of things. If you go under the Practice tab, you get all kinds of wonderful information. I can't underscore the importance of using this information. The College Board, after all, is comprised of the people who both write and score the test, and so I think we can't ignore their advice. Your practice book that we're working out of is a College Board book as well, so you'll notice a lot of duplication of information, but I think that maybe sometimes doing it on a website like this makes it feel a little less like test prep, and for some of you, not all of you, might work a little bit better. If you don't love working stuff like this on the internet, then just stick to your book. All this information is there as well. What you'll need to do is make sure that you use the front of the book and the sections for reading, math, and writing, and that you read all of that information before you work the practice problems. Otherwise, a lot of that test-taking strategy you will miss. Now, the preparation for a test like this is a very personal journey. You will get as much out of it as you put into it, and everyone kind of needs to do something different. So your goal is going to be to really figure out what you need to do and how you can best improve your score. The only person who can really do that is you. Once you know exactly what it is you need to do, then I am here to help guide you in how to go about improving your score. I am purposely not giving us a lot of other work to do over the next couple of weeks because I will expect you to be dedicating your time to this PSAT practice. Okay, so once you're on the practice tab, once you've clicked the practice tab, what you'll see here are a bunch of practice questions. So you can click on the different categories and see different kinds of questions. Right, so we're working on passage-based reading now, so I would go to the passage-based reading section, and what you can see are some directions and some practice questions along with an example to try. If you click tips, then what you'll get are several pages of tips. So you can click through this and it will tell you some things that might be helpful to you as you're practicing. So I would encourage you to do that before you do any more practice questions. I'd also like to show you this answers imagined section.
In turn. At the beginning of 2006, Alan,
you can go down here.
Has a number of meanings, several of which are included in the answer choices.
Okay, and what's happening there in the answered imagined section, just stop it for a second, is that you're actually hearing them reason through some practice questions. So I think sometimes just listening to someone figure it out can be a really helpful way to maybe try to figure out that problem next time. So you can try that. And then you can see another full-length practice test here as well. So once you've worked all the ones in your book, if you need more work to do, you can certainly do that. Now, the passage-based reading is the most difficult section on which to improve your score. The strategy is just a little more difficult. But I would say that there are kind of two key things. First, you've already done the practice in test 5. Now I think you should do all of the reading-based questions in test 6. And then I think you should stop and spend some time looking at both of those tests and figuring out what kinds of questions you're missing. Once you know what kinds of questions you're missing, you can then start to talk about some specific strategies for those kinds of questions. For example, if you notice that you tend to miss the vocabulary and context questions, those are the questions that deal with, what is this word? And they usually give you the word in quotation marks, maybe a line number. What does this mean in context of the paragraph or the passage? I think the best strategy for that kind of question is to use the kind of strategy that you often use in the fill in the blank or the sentence completion questions, and that is to, before you look at the answer choices, insert your own and different word into that sentence in place of the word that it's asking you about. And then, now that's before you've looked at the answer choices. After you've inserted your own word, then go to the answer choices and see if you can find one that matches or is very similar to your own word. And you have to do that before you look at the answer choices. Otherwise, it's very hard to think kind of objectively. The answer choices will tend to skew you, and you might fall prey to the distractor answer, and that's the one that they're hoping that you pick that is close to the right answer but is not the right answer. We want to try to avoid doing that. The other question that I think you can work some strategy on, and those are tone questions. That's a tone question. All right, so they're going to ask you about what is the author's attitude toward something, a particular subject, a particular topic, a particular idea. Whenever you're asked about an author's attitude, what you're really being asked about is the tone. So, how the author feels about a particular topic, a particular subject, or a particular idea. Okay, I was just interrupted by Riley, so let me see if I can remember what I was saying to you. I think I was talking about tone and the question, what is the writer's attitude about something? That's really a tone question, all right? So, how the author feels about something. And you have to be able to support the correct answer for that question with actual words from the paragraph, right around the area, usually, that they're asking you about. And usually you find those clues in verbs and adjectives, imagery, right? So verbs and adjectives, and then imagery, which is usually comprised of verbs and adjectives. So if you choose an answer for a question like that, you really do have to be able to go back into the passage. If I said, how do you know? And show me something, a word, a verb, an adjective, some imagery that helps you figure out that answer. Those are the two questions that are probably the easiest um, to maybe improve your score on. Once you know what kinds of questions you miss in the passage-based reading, you can begin to work on strategy. You can look at the strategies here for those kinds of questions on this website, and you can look at the strategies in your book for those kinds of questions, and then really begin to practice that. So I'd like for you to do all of those things and then work tests 6 and 7, just the passage-based reading in those tests for homework, and we will go from there. Thank you very much. Good luck. I will see you soon.